Okay, we're back, and last time you created this worksheet. So if you don't have this part done, you should have a cars tab here where you pick some of your dream cars, put them in there, and calculated their payments, and then also had an expense sheet here where you went through and calculated all of your expenses. So if you don't have those two, go ahead and click on the channel or click on the other video link in the earlier module or on our channel here on YouTube, and you can find the cars and the budget worksheet example, and then you should be able to get that all done and come back to this, because here we're going to learn how to create an income so that you can pay for all of this, and something in a way where you don't have to go to work each day. So we're going to go ahead and get started by opening up a new tab. So go ahead and click on the plus sign down here at the bottom corner, open up a new sheet. And again, I usually always start in one of the cells a little bit down from the top. So I'm going to start in B2, and we're just going to go ahead and type in purchase price. Now you're like, well, Mr. Williams, what are we doing here? So let me walk you through what it is that we're going to be looking at. So instead of cars, we're going to go ahead and look at apartment complexes. So here's the deal. If you have ever lived in an apartment complex, you'll know that somebody owns those, and that person, generally speaking, doesn't come by the apartment complex all that often, especially if it's a big one. They have property managers and those types of things. And so we're going to walk through kind of what the finances look like if you were to be the person that actually owned that. So we're going to look at, let's go to loopnet.com. And this is a place where we can find apartment complexes for sale. So let's go. I'm going to click on the advanced search. Underneath this little search bar there, I'm going to click on advanced search, and then I'm going to click on multifamily over here. So we're looking at apartments. And I'm going to look at, just for the sake of this, we're going to look at $2 million or bigger. I'm putting that in the price. And then I'm going to come down here to capitalization rate, and I'm going to put in, let's say 7%. I'm just typing in a 7 there. So, and I'll show you what we're going to have when I get done with this. So we've got now in the U.S., here's all the apartment complexes that kind of fit those criteria. So I can look, close to us, and I can see here's something in Seattle that supposedly fits that criteria. And so we'll go ahead and take a look at this property here. So here's an apartment complex, mixed use apartment building. There's some commercial stuff on the bottom, and then apartments up top. There's, let's see, 26 units there, and that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea as to what we're looking at. Let's look at some of these pictures here, give you a better feel. I'm hoping that's downstairs, but it looks like these are the apartments upstairs, base heaters, small little units it looks like. But anyway, so that's in Seattle. This guy's for sale. If their numbers are accurate, you don't know for sure that they are, but if they are accurate, $3,450,000 will get you this unit, and they have a 7.11% cap rate. And you're like, well, what does that mean, Mr. Williams? We're going to find out here in just a second. So purchase price, I'm going to type that there. I'm going to type cap rate here, and that's short for capitalization rate. So we're going to go ahead and say purchase price, and I'm just going to type in that dollar amount, which was $3,450,000. So let's go 345,000,000. Oh, let's do some formatting here. I'm going to click on C up here at the top and click dollar symbol, but I don't want these extra 2 zeros here because we're doing really big numbers. So let's go ahead and get rid of those by clicking up here on the decrease decimal section. So now I've got That's, I get one extra zero there. Let's just delete one of those. 3.45 million. And then cap rate, I'm gonna go over here to column D, and I'm just gonna hit percentages. But if I do that and I did, let's see, what was the percentage on the cap rate on the 7-Eleven? Okay, so if I type 7.11, it just shows up as 7%. So I actually want to highlight that whole column, and I want to increase the decimal places too. So I just go up here and click on the increase decimal place 2 times, and now it shows 711%. All right, so what a cap rate is that means that after all of your expenses, all of your maintenance and vacancy rates and landscaping, all those types of things, that's how much money you would have left. So if I say D3 times C2, so I just typed equals D3, clicked on the D3 cell, and then multiply times C2, then I'm going to get $245,000 a year in income if I had $3.45 million sitting in my back pocket and I just went and bought it for cash. So if I did that, I'd have $245,000 a year to live on, which would be pretty great. But now the trick is that most of us don't have $3.5 million sitting in our pocket, so we need to borrow some money from somewhere. So the first place we're going to borrow money from is a bank loan. So let's get a bank. I'm going to take bank loan amount. Type bank loan amount. Sorry, there. Again, to stretch it, to make these all fit, I'm just going to double click in between B and C, and that will stretch that out. And so now I can say bank loan amount. Well, shoot, how much will bank loan me? Well, between 70 and 80%. We'll go ahead and say they'll loan us 80% for this one. So let's say they'll loan us 80%. That's going to, let's figure out how much that will be. So I type equals my purchase price, I click on that, times the percentage, and that will do all the calculating for me. That's $2.7 million that the bank will loan me. All right, well, the bank wants to make some money off of this, so they'll give me a loan. Let's calculate what that payment's going to be. First of all, let's say their interest rate's going to be right now maybe 6%. It's probably actually a little higher right now, but let's say actually let's go with what it's been. Let's go 5%. Hopefully it'll come down here in the near future, but anyway, so 5%, and then we're going to say this is bank loan payment. Okay, so we got our bank loan payment there in cell B5, and now we're going to calculate our bank loan payment. This is a pretty complex formula. Thankfully, Excel does the hard work for us. So we're going to go up here and click on our FX up there and type in the search bar PMT again. And so we've got PMT, just in case yours wasn't there, you can search for it and it'll show up right here. Now we can say, okay, well, we've got our payment. We need to know what our interest rate is. That's going to be D5. If this was covering up my stuff there, I could just click on the little button here on the side, and that'll make it kind of disappear. So I can click on D5, and then I can click on it again. It'll drop back down. Number of periods is, we're going to say we're going to get a 30-year loan on this. So 30 times 12 months in a year, 30 years times 12 is 360 payments in a year, or in 30 years. So that should be 30 times 12. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But all right, and then present value is going to be, our present value is going to be how much we're borrowing from the bank. So we're going to click on our bank loan amount up there in cell C4. And then we're just going to click OK, because our future value and our type are not significant for this. We don't really have to calculate those in. So we're having to pay $138,000 a year in payments to cover our bank loan amount. All right, so with $138,000 a year in payment and expenses, we're going to say net of bank I'm just going to type bank loan PYMT. Okay. The net of bank loan. So when we bought the property, we were getting $245,000 a year in revenue, but we have to pay our bank loan amount, and so that's going to be equals. We're going to have leftover after that. We're going to have that. Now I'm going to use a plus sign here. The reason I'm using a plus sign is because this is actually a negative number. The way I know that is because these parentheses around it, and so in accounting that often signifies that it's a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and click C3 plus C5. So I'm adding a negative, which actually makes it a subtraction, and hit enter. And now we've got $107,000 a year left after we've paid our bank loan. Well, that's assuming that, let's go ahead and look at this. That's assuming that we have our purchase price minus our bank loan amount. That's assuming that we have $690,000 in cash sitting in our back pocket. If we did, we'd be able to get $107,000 a year in return on our $690,000, which is a really good return. Let's actually look in, just for gee whiz sake, I'm going to say equals that divided by that. That's a 15% return on investment. That's a really good, solid return on investment, considering it's backed by real estate, and as long as you do a good job buying it, that would be a very secure way of making money. So, but I'm just deleting that because it's not really necessary right here. So we're going to go ahead and say this. We got to get this $690,000 from somewhere, because most of you don't have $690,000 sitting in your back pocket. So we're going to say we're going to get an investor. This is what's called syndication. There are syndicators that will do these types of deals all the time. So they'll buy apartment complexes, they'll get investors to give them some money, and we're going to walk you through how that looks. It's something that you could do. It'd take a lot of learning, but it's something that if you did it well and you did it a couple of times, you wouldn't have to work too much. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine who has purchased his own, I've been an investor in some syndications, but a friend of mine who's done his own deals, he bought an apartment complex that's south of here a little bit, and he was a police officer in Seattle, and he bought one apartment complex, and that was enough to retire him from being a police officer. And he puts in probably about 4 hours a month in work into his. So he has a call with his property managers once a week usually, just to check in and make sure everything's going well. That's about a 10 minute to half an hour phone call, and then he'll drive down there usually once a month, once a quarter, depending on what's going on, just to make sure everything's going well. So all in all, probably less than 4 hours a month, and it's enough to where he doesn't have to go to work anymore. So let's go ahead and look at how we would do this. So if we're going to get an investor, we have to give them something for them to give us their money. So let's say that we're gonna be willing to give them 50% of whatever we make on this deal. So let's say equals this net of bank loan amount times 0.5. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let's just type 50 over here. Oh, that's bigger than that. Let's try that again. 50%. Okay. So we've typed 50% in there, and we're going to say investor payment, and then we're going to say equals our net of bank loan payment times this. That's how much we're paying our investor. So $53,000 a year. Just to give you an idea, that means that they would be making, divided by that, they'd be making a little over 7%, almost 8% a year, which is a good, if this is a very secure deal, that's a great return on investment for most people. Most people don't expect to get much more than that. And especially if you pass on some of the tax savings, which we won't get into here, but we do in class. So, but anyway, so we've got investor payment now. If we need to, we can just change this number and say, well, maybe we need to give them 70% to make it worth their time. And we put that in there. Now we know that our investor payment would be 75%. But let's go ahead and leave it at 50%. And then we're going to say, type in your name here. So your name, take home. So this is how much you would get to take home, and that is just simply equals how much the net is that we had after our bank loan minus our investor payment. So C6 minus C9. Hit enter, and that means that if you did this deal for about 4 hours a week, once you've got the deal done, it's a lot of work getting your deal done, but once it's done for 4 hours a month roughly, you could be sitting on $53,000 a year. Well, let's just do some quick math here. Equals that divided by, let's say, 4 hours a month. That means you're making $13,000 an hour. So that's pretty good pay, a little better than the $14 an hour we get at McDonald's. So all right, so that's this aspect of it. Now here's what you're gonna do for your assignment. You're going to, well, first of all, let's finish this up. Let's come down to sheet down here, double click on sheet. We're gonna title this apartments, and then we're going to right click down here on the tab, and we're going to create a tab color for it. We'll go with green on this one. So now we've got expenses, cars, and apartments. And again, if you don't know where these two were created, check our other video. But now we've got our apartments. And now your job is to go out and actually find an apartment complex that would cover all of your expenses. So you're looking for this number right here, something that's going to bring you in over $182,000 a year. So let's go back to here, and let's say Seattle's generally not a great place to buy apartments because it's overpriced here. So let's go ahead and look and say, Miami Beach, Florida, maybe. Let's see, I'm going to look for something. I need something that's going to pay me pretty well. So if I want to improve my filters, there are two things that are going to increase how much I get to take home. And that's going to be my purchase price. So let's just increase this to 5 million. And then let's go cap rate. Let's increase this to 7.5%. And let's search again. That should narrow this down. So now I've got less to look at. So I could take this one. This is a group of properties in Missouri, Kansas City. And so let's just go ahead. Let's see. Let me just scroll through some of these others and see. These will change by the time you're doing this, probably. But let's see. Maybe I'll try this Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. No, those numbers don't look very good. All right, let's go with this one. 19.87 and then 8.97 cap rate. So I'm gonna 19,870,000. So all I have to do is change it here. 19,870,000. So that's $19,870,000, and then my cap rate was 8.97. So I fix this 8.97. And that now shows me that I would be taking home $493,000 a year on this property. Is that enough to cover my expenses? Yes, it is. But we're gonna do one more thing first, because we're gonna let you pick the house that you're gonna live in. So let me finish this part first, and then we'll go into the house part. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna click on this link here. I'm just gonna grab the web address up here, and I'm gonna highlight it. So I'm just gonna highlight the web address, right click on there and copy, or you can hit Control C, either way. And then I'm gonna come back here, and I'm gonna paste that right at the top of this. Paste. And now I can double check and make sure you actually found this place and that it is what you said it was. So now we've got that. Now I've got to keep my expenses under $493,000 a year. And here's the fun part. Now I get to actually come in here, and I'm going to go to Zillow.com, and I'm going to look for a house. And when I find that house, I'm going to go ahead and let's say I want to find one in where it'd be a great place to live. Let's see, maybe Bozeman, Montana. Great skiing there. Let's go ahead and look at Bozeman, Montana. So these are rentals. You could find a rental that you want to live in, or it might be more fun for you to find something for sale. So let's go ahead and find something for sale. I'm going to remove my boundaries there. And I'm going to put some more filters on here. I'm going to say I want my lot size. I want at least an acre. We're out in Montana. Why not, right? And then I'm going to say beds and baths. I want at least 4 beds. And I want at least 4 baths. And now I've got some nice houses to look at here. Let's see, this one's right there. All of these are really close to some really nice ski resorts. Looks like this one's on a golf course. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this one. This one looks nice. Now let's scroll through some of these. I like this one. Let's go with this one. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this guy right here. Nice wood house. Kind of scroll through, look at it. Look, it even comes with a cat. Yeah, see, look at that cat. All right, that looks like a cool house. I could live there. All right, and you're welcome to look anywhere you want for your house, but let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and right-click on this picture and do copy image. Okay, and then I've got to remember this number right here, $21,080 a month. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come back into our spreadsheet, go to our expenses. I'm going to go to my rent mortgage. And I'm going to type $21,080 a month. And and then I'm going to right click on here and I'm going to hit paste. And now I've got my picture of the house that I'm going to live in right there. I'm going to shrink that down so it fits nicely right there. But here's the problem. I need 490, well, I'll tell you why I don't need that. But if I had a salary, I'd need $491,000 to do this. Let me just zoom in on this so you can see it better. But I'd need $491,000 in order to do this. But I don't actually need that. And here's why. With apartments, one of the cool things is that Uncle Sam wants people providing apartments because they're low-income housing. And so Uncle Sam gives some nice tax incentives for it. And so what happens is the government says that you can write off, you can basically say, let's say that you figure out the land's worth $1 million and the building's worth, in this case, is worth almost $19 million. Well, they would let you write off $19 million of the property value over 27 years. So if I just do some quick math on that, let me just zoom in here. I should have zoomed in earlier, sorry guys. But if I do 19, well, let's just go 19, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 19 million equal that divided by 27. And this is if you did straight line depreciation. There's a lot of other things to this, but that would basically mean that you could write off $703,000 a year in taxes over, for 27 years, which means that really that since I'm making 493,000, and there's a lot more nuances to this, but just to keep it simple, that means that I wouldn't be paying any taxes at all. And so I'd really only need 356,000 in order to cover all of these expenses. So with that being said, we're done. You can go ahead and turn this in. What you need to make sure you have is the web address up here. You're going to be, I'll just highlight these real quick for you. So you're changing this number and this number, and then if your formulas are all correct, it'll calculate all the way through here. And you just need to make sure this number down here at the bottom, I'll highlight this in green. You need to make sure that number is bigger than this number here. Okay? And if that number is bigger, then that means you just have figured out a way to do a real estate investment deal where you can do one deal and it'll pay for your lifestyle for the rest of your life, essentially. If you have any questions, catch me in class. Happy to go over this with you in more detail. And until then, make sure you save this and turn it into the proper turning bucket. Thank you. Have a good day.